This is Ron Huxley, and I want to talk to you now about how to hack your nervous system, the head heart connection. So, I'm first going to demonstrate this technique, and then we'll talk a lot about it in a little more detail in terms of the science and how it works for you. So, what I want you to do is to be able to put one hand on your head, on your forehead, just your palm, and then the other hand, I want you to put it on your heart. You can use your right hand up here, you can use your left hand up here. Either one is fine. It all depends on what makes you feel most comfortable. And then as you put your hand in your head, one hand on your head, one hand on your heart, I want you to take 3 nice deep breaths. And we're going to do that by counting from 1 to 6. 1 being, the odd numbers are going to be the inhale, and the even numbers are going to be the exhale. Mine will go a little faster than maybe you might do it, just because I want to be able to get through the different steps. Okay, so let's do that. Put one hand on the palm on your head and one on your heart, and then let's count together. 1, inhale, 2, exhale, 3, inhale, 4, exhale, 5, inhale, 6, exhale. Good. Now I want to take the hand that you had on your head and put that on your abdomen, or what we'll refer to as your guts, be a little more coarse, and there'll be a reason for that. We'll talk about it. And then I'll do the same 1 to 6 breathing. All right, nice slow breaths. Inhale, 1, exhale, 2. Inhale, 3, exhale, 4. Inhale, 5, exhale, 6. Good. Now I want you to take both your hands, again, put one on your head with your palm on the forehead, and one on the back of your head. Just support it nicely. Don't push or grab or twist it or anything. And then I want to do the same inhale, 1 to 6 count. Inhale, 1, exhale, 2. Inhale, 3, exhale, 4. Inhale, 5, exhale, 6. Good. Now take both your hands. I want to put them on your heart. You can just kind of put one hand over the other, or if you want to do it more in a butterfly approach to it, you can do it that way. And then the same 6 count. Here we go. Inhale, 1, exhale, 2. Inhale, 3, exhale, 4. Inhale, 5, and finally exhale, 6. Great. Now taking both hands again and putting them onto your stomach, however you're comfortable, on your guts, and let's do the 6 count again. Inhale, 1, exhale, 2. Inhale, 3, exhale, 4. Inhale, 5, exhale, 6. Very good. Okay, so what we've done is we are working on how to hack your nervous system by connecting your head to your heart to your guts. And then we'll break it down in terms of each of those areas, the head, the heart, and the guts. So what we're doing by hacking the nervous system is that we are engaging the autonomic nervous system. All the tools that we're using in this neural resilience section is designed to help you build an anxiety-proof nervous system by strengthening your parasympathetic system within your body. So as I mentioned before, you have a parasympathetic and a sympathetic system within your overall autonomic nervous system. Your parasympathetic system is your brake. Your sympathetic system is your gas. For many of us, depending on the type of anxiety that we've been dealing with, we'll have an overactive parasympathetic or overactive sympathetic system. So we want to bring some integration and balance to both of those things. Most of the time we have too much sympathetic and not enough parasympathetic. And so the more you exercise that through the breath and through the intentional focus, almost like a mindfulness or meditation sort of approach, this will help increase the parasympathetic system and bring balance between the two. The breath is really the key piece to all of this. The other additions have to do with what we might consider a very rudimentary biofeedback machine. So many of the people that I work with who are dealing with anxiety will come in by having a disconnect between their head and their heart. I mean, they literally say, I have a disconnect between my head and my heart. So what they mean is that I don't feel a sense of control over my life because although I know what I should be doing, what's right or wrong, I know how I should be feeling, I know the situation is not really terrifying, I know that the circumstances is not going to put me in danger, I still feel as if it does. And so what's happening is the head and the heart are not operating. So what I want you to be able to do by starting off our hacking the nervous system with the head and the heart is a sort of a biofeedback. We're creating a loop between the two that is registered within our nervous system. Through our breath, we're creating a balance into our autonomic nervous system. And then we're going to add a third level to this, and I'll go over that in a second. So what we want to do is we want to bring the integration between the head and the heart. Some people will have too much head, i.e. cerebral, logical sort of approach to situations, and some people have too much of an emotional or overreaction within their heart. I refer to this also in the window of tolerance and talking more about how to create safety through that sort of slinky science, how to be able to create a natural rhythm within your nervous system. So this is an exercise that you can do, again, sort of like a meditation exercise, and you can add meditation, you can add music to this piece, and I have some phrases that you can use that will help you as well. So I'm adding a cognitive piece to this in a second. So we want to connect the head and the heart, and then what we're doing is we're connecting the heart to our guts. Now, I call it our guts because when we talk about our emotions, our anxiety, fear, panic, what we're referring to is sort of our gut instincts. It's our visceral reaction to situations that don't logically pan out if we look at them into reality. And the cognitive approach is just one way. If we can't get the body to be calm and in a rested state, what science would call homeostatic. So if we can't get it into a homeostatic or homeostasis, then we are not able to do any type of other interventions. It just won't stick. And if you've been trying to do cognitive behavioral sort of approaches and you haven't been very successful, then this is probably the reason why. Because your body has not yet been able to receive it because it is not registering a sense of safety to overrule that fight or flight response that's going on in your body, i.e. creating a parasympathetic and a sympathetic balance. So now we're wanting to connect our heart to our guts or to our body. And what's important here to know is that the nervous system that goes within the body is as important as this nervous system called the brain that's between our two ears, behind our eyeballs. And there are 41 different pairs of nerve endings that go throughout your body, predominantly around your internal organs, to your brainstem and then into your brain. Your brain is using all this information to gauge how to protect you from danger. That's very important to remember. Your brain is using the signals that are coming from your body, from these different 41 nerves, nerve pairs actually, to help you know how to keep you safe. Again, that's very important for what we're doing here. Now, one of the pairs that goes from your body goes from your internal organs, your stomach, which is your guts, right? Your digestive system, the whole system. And it registers this. It's called the vagus nerve. This is actually 10th cranial nerve. And this nerve goes from our guts to our heart, to our throat, to our face, and then finally into our brainstem and then into our brain. Now, this vagus nerve is extremely important in understanding how to create neural resilience. Stephen Porges has this whole polyvagal theory, which I think I'll put some information on that in the specialized toolbox at the end of this course, so you can get some more information on how that works if you want to get more into the science of it. But what's really interesting about this cranial nerve, this vagus nerve, is that the brain looks at all the other pairs of nerves that go to the brain and interprets those nerves as signals from the organs, right? To register how you're doing, what's going on, take in sensory information. But the vagus nerve, the brain, registers it as an emotion. it doesn't determine whether or not this is coming from the organs, from your stomach, your digestive system, or literally an emotion that's centered within the middle of your brain, in the limbic system of your brain. That's really crucial to understanding how to deal with fear, anxiety, panic, worry, because our brain is fooled by what's going on in our body. Now, the reason we are focusing on it as our guts or a visceral reaction is because most of our feeling words that we have to do with a very visceral sort of description or an expression. For example, I have butterflies in my stomach, right? When you get nervous, you have to be up front to talk, you'll feel butterflies in your stomach. You don't literally have butterflies in your stomach, but you feel that fluttery because your vagus nerve is registering that nervousness in your digestive system. And a lot of people who have issues with anxiety have a lot of digestive issues, irritable bowel syndrome, and we have leaky gut, we have a lot of constipation. There's a lot of things that are going on, and there's a lot of allergies, celiac, gluten intolerance. There's many things that are going on that are originating from our guts. And the more and more we talk about nutrition, the more we're understanding that there's a brain-body connection between all of that. So I'll have another handout on that. I think it's going to be called Healthy Brain, Healthy Gut. So you can look at that handout, and that will give you more information on nutrition as it relates to anxiety too. So what's happening is we feel these visceral emotions, but so many of us, we, in order to protect ourselves, we cut off our intellectual, logical thoughts from our emotional thoughts so that we are not overwhelmed by all these feelings. And we don't want to register a panic attack, right? So we avoid situations that are going to create social anxiety. We stay away from phobic areas that are particular phobias and fears. We try to do things that will distract us from feeling anxious, all in the efforts not to experience these feelings because they're so overwhelming. And what the brain does over time is begins to register those feelings as actually dangerous impulses. And it will create a disconnection, sometimes in an extreme way called a disassociation, so that we literally have a disconnect between our head and our heart and our body or our guts. Now, going on with the vagus nerve, it takes that sensations that are from our body, from our guts primarily, then they go to our heart. Now, a lot of people who have panic attacks often believe that they're having a heart attack. And many of the 911 calls for a heart attack or having cardiac arrest is really an anxiety attack or a panic attack. It's not actually a physical problem. It's a psychological / emotional problem. Now, it's not purely psychological, obviously, because we're talking about how it interacts with the body. So they're both. But the doctors are saying this is not something that's going on actually physically with your heart. But what happened is the vagus nerve is registering these sensations, and then the heart is reacting to it. And so often it will race and feel like it's going to burst right out of your chest. Now, that vagus nerve also goes to the throat, and that's really important too, because many of us, especially when we're dealing with like social anxiety, for example, we feel like we don't have a voice or we can't talk. Or if you get scared, try to speak. It's very difficult to speak when you're scared, or when you're having a panic attack, or when you're in front of a group of people, or you feel like you're being publicly humiliated, or you imagine you're going to be publicly humiliated. It will literally cut off your voice. And many people will use the words, I have no voice, to describe their anxious feelings, meaning I don't have any real control over my own life. I don't have an ability to stand up and express myself. I can't stand up for myself. So it's about confidence, and anxiety is just a real confidence killer. Then from there, that cranial nerve, that vagus nerve, goes to the face. Now, the face is often referred to, and again, this will be in the information by Stephen Porges on the polyvagal theory, but our face is really important. The whole vagus nerve system is important, but the face is important in terms of our social engagement. Stephen Porges calls us our social engagement system, the whole entire network. So babies at their very earliest are actually registering the facial expression. They are programmed to look for faces. And even in the womb, they've done some projection of lights into a mother's abdomen, and babies will pay more attention to lights that have a pattern of like two circles and a triangle underneath it, which has kind of an image of a face. So they are automatically looking for that, where they're pre-programmed. And all of the system that we're talking about with the body is pre-programmed in. So when an infant is born, these things are already fully online, and the brainstem is active. It's the rest of the system, the emotional system, the cognitive system, that requires input. And that input comes in a face-to-face interaction. This is why, in terms of attachment research, so many scientists will talk about the importance of that male-female bond. I mean, the mother-child bond. And they can happen with fathers too, of course. But that bond between the parent and the child is so interactive. You don't talk to a child and attach to them from the other side of the room or facing away from them. You do it by holding them close. They're feeling your heartbeat's next to their heartbeat, your face-to-face interaction going on, your voice, all these things are very important to understanding the attachment system and how people attach. So the face is very important, and many times people who deal with anxiety and fears and worries are actually cut off, as we said, between the head and the heart, and they don't register facial expressions very well. So a lot of people will be, and this is very true in attachment issues too, in that people will be saying, "I'm not mad at you," and the child or the individual is simply thinking, "Okay, they're not mad at me," because they can't register the emotion behind it that's being communicated, and they don't register in the face. And so they don't see what's going on and don't recognize it in their own face, they don't see it in other people's face, and it really has a disastrous effect on relationships. That's why anxiety and fear and rumination and worry is so detrimental in our relationships, and why so many people deal with social anxiety and have trouble maintaining relationships when they are anxious. So again, it's a confidence killer, it's a real relationship destroyer, and so part of this is being able to get the whole system online, in alignment, and in balance one with the other. So we're connecting the head to the heart to the guts. Now, after you've done this preliminary piece of head to heart to guts, and you're doing the breathing of 1 to 6, that gets the system kind of settled down, and then you're adding a cognitive piece here. And what you're going to do is you're going to put one hand on the front of your forehead, one hand on the back of your forehead. You're going to put 2 hands on your heart and 2 hands on your guts. And as you do that, you're going to say to each of those systems, you're going to speak to your head, speak to your heart, speak to your guts, to your intuition, to your body. And you're going to simply say, "Thank you, thoughts. Thank you, head, for protecting me. Thank you, head. Thank you, thoughts, for keeping me safe. Thank you, heart, for protecting me. Thank you, heart, for keeping me safe. Thank you, guts. Thank you, body, for protecting me. Thank you, guts. Thank you, body, for keeping me safe." You want to honor each and every part of our system so that it, again, puts it in connection with one another, allows you to feel the power of each of these things. We need all of them. We don't want to cut off one to overdo the other. So it's important that we bring that integrative approach of head and heart and guts, and that we respect what they're doing. In a very primal, primitive way, what our body is and our brain is doing is trying to keep us safe. Once we have communicated that we are indeed safe, then we can go on and bring more cognitive approaches that we'll talk about in the rethink section, which allow you to create new perspectives on your situation. And now, like for example, if you're practicing this every day, and you can do it every day, many times a day, it's not going to hurt you. Actually, the more you do it, the stronger your nervous system is going to get, the more neuroresilient you're going to be. And then when you move on to the cognitive section, when you say things to your heart, like, "I feel like I'm having a panic attack right now, but I know even though this is very uncomfortable, it's not dangerous." That's a very important phrase if you have panic attacks, to say to yourself, even though this is very uncomfortable, even though I'm very uncomfortable and feel like my heart's racing right now, this is not dangerous. I am not going to die. And that cognitive thought will be believed because your body has already been built up that resiliency to handle that situation. When you're in front of an audience and you're having to talk to somebody, you can say to yourself, you can coach yourself and say, even though this is very uncomfortable, even though this is very unpleasant, I know that I'm safe. I know that I'm not in danger. I know that I will finish this well. I'll finish it strong. And you can then coach yourself and use cognitive strategies that we'll be talking about to help you through the process. Thank you very much.